So welcome. This is lecture 12 of income from house property, assessment year 2022-23 for June 2022 CMA intermediate attempt. ठीक है, ये हमारे हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का लेक्चर 12 है. तो पहले देखते हैं कि कहाँ तक हम कंप्लीट किए थे कल. Yeah, this problem, right? We had done this problem yesterday. Gaya and Mumbai, this one, right? So ये problem हो गया था कल. So now we will start with self-occupied house property. So now see, basically for this, before I even say anything, now we just have to see how to compute income from house property for some typical cases, okay, or some general cases. So for that, see, this table is there, you would have seen already. आपके notes में भी है ये, ठीक है. So this table summarizes your various types of property, basically, if I say that. So one is let out house property. Okay, then you have got self-occupied house property and property not actually occupied by owner. This is because of the reason of his employment, business or profession being in some other place or city. Okay. So treatment for both these is same. That's why I put both under red line. Okay. Then next is partly let out and partly self-occupied. Okay. So in this case, what happens is whatever is let out, it is treated as let out. Just for self-occupied, that section is treated as self-occupied. So we'll see that. Okay. And then you have same table continues here, deemed to be let out. So in your self-occupied property, you have an option of considering two as self-occupied. Okay, so advantage here is, यहाँ पे जो आपका advantage है कि आपका NAV is considered as 0, net annual value is 0 directly. ठीक है, तो टैक्स लगने का जो है कोई चांस नहीं होता. So which is why in your self-occupied property, your government gives you exemption for 2 houses, up to 2 houses, any 2 on your choice, you can treat it as self-occupied. ठीक है, तो गवर्नमेंट जो है आपको ये अलाउ करती है. तो आप इसका सब देखेंगे. और जब आपके पास अगर 5 प्रॉपर्टीज है, 2 को तो आपने अलाउ कर दी है, ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट ने, बाकी 3 को दे विल कंप्यूट इट एज इफ इट इज लेट आउट. ठीक है, सच प्रॉपर्टीज आर कॉल्ड एज डीम्ड टू बी लेट आउट. This part you leave now, we'll see later, and whatever is written down that will come back to it. ये जो है ना, this is just, you know, ये छोटा सा table, it will help you in your computations in short. ठीक है, but we'll come back to it once we cover all this. So these are the things we are going to cover. We are now starting with self-occupied property. ठीक है, we'll see the entire procedure for self-occupied property. So सबसे पहले self-occupied property किसको बोलते हैं? What is self-occupied property? It is in the occupation of the owner for his own residence. Okay, one is this. All are cumulative conditions. तीनों satisfy होना चाहिए. Is not actually let out during the whole or any part of the previous. Okay. So ये जो है एक दिन के लिए भी let out नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, आपने थोड़े भी पीरियड के लिए आपका घर लेट आउट कर दिए तो इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज अ लेट आउट प्रॉपर्टी. नो अदर बेनिफिट इज डिराइव्ड बाय द ओनर. ठीक है, यानी आप उसको गो डाउन करके कमर्शियली यूज कर रहे हैं, जो भी, या बिजनेस के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं, कुछ और के लिए यूज नहीं कर रहे. These 3 you are not using it for any other purpose. Okay, these are the 3 conditions for a property to be called a self-occupied property under the head income from house property, and the treatment is NAV is nil. ठीक है, so you will not get any deduction for municipal tax. Always remember, because NAV they are directly giving you as nil, no? Right, so GAV less municipal taxes is NAV. Now when NAV level itself they are giving as nil, then why will they give you deduction of municipal tax, which is above that? Correct. So NAV is just remember for this. And then we have seen can treat only 2 houses as self-occupied at his option. ठीक है, जो मैंने बताया था आपको, I told you this. Remaining will be deemed to be let out. Right? Understood this part? And then these combinations are not very important at this stage, because when you do the problem, you will understand this automatically. Just for fully self-occupied is treated as self-occupied property. Okay. Partly self-occupied, partly vacant is also treated as self-occupied. Partly self-occupied and partly let out, it is partly self-occupied and partly let out. It's like, this is we are talking about when you have, say, 2 units in the same house. One part you have given for rent, one part you are staying. Where you are staying, that will be treated as self-occupied. Okay. And whichever you have given for rent, that will be for rent. Now this is, last is partly self-occupied and partly used for business, same like that. So whatever you are using for whatever purpose will be considered for that purpose. Okay. But if you have one house and you have given it for rent for some period, then you will not get the benefit of self-occupied house property. Okay. That is the only thing. So isme we will be seeing like problems of these, all these. So once you do the problem, this table you will automatically know. Okay. It's not to be learned separately or something like that. Okay. तो अभी हम आगे चलते हैं. For self-occupied, so whatever all these things we are studying, no? Whatever we are seeing, this is all under your self-occupied house property. Okay. So this is all under your self-occupied house property, whatever we are studying. Okay. So it's available only, this benefit is available only to individual and HUF and not available to any other assets. Okay. And one thing here is the owner can, if the owner wants to change the option, right? For example, like he has 3 houses, he went for 2 houses as self-occupied. Doesn't mean that in every year he has to take those 2 as self-occupied. So he can change every year. Okay. So each previous year is a different previous year for you. Whatever it will be considered for that previous year as per these rules. For next year, again, you can change your options. Okay. And next point is little interesting. The owner occupies in some other capacity. Means, say for example, the owner let out his house to his employer. Okay. And his employer has given it back as rent-free accommodation. Okay. So owner has let out the house to his employer, and employer has now, the property has become his employer's, right? That is rented property. So now he has taken it to give it to his employees, okay, for accommodation. Now it has so happened that his house is, this person's house was given to him only. Okay. So now what is the capacity of this person? His capacity is not the owner anymore because he's already let it out. Okay. So now see, once you have given your house on rent to a tenant, do you have the right to barge into that house even if you are the owner? Answer is no. Okay. He has given you the rent. Now his ownership is there, of course, limited to certain clauses and all that, but you cannot barge into your own house, right? Once you have given it on rent. So it's the tenant who now controls the house. So that's why in this case, although it is his house, he has got this house because he is employee of his employer, right? So it will not be treated as self-occupied, but it will be let out. Here, what will be seen is he has let this house to his employer. Now his employer has given it to whoever, that's not our concern. This person has let it out to his employer. So it is let out. Okay. So this is called occupied in some other capacity. It's It's not a case which you'll find regularly, okay? But yes, we have had such cases, which is why it was defined in law. Okay, if house property is used in combined form, like you have got say a huge house like a mahal, something like that, where you've got several guest rooms and all that, but you are using it for residence in combined form basically, right? You are not letting it out to anyone. तो हमारी गवर्नमेंट ये बोलती है कि आप एंजॉय करो, जितना भी बड़ा हाउस आप खुद के लिए रह रहे हो ना, तो यू डोंट नीड टू पे एनी टैक्स. इफ यू आर यूजिंग फॉर योर ओन, यू डोंट हैव टू पे एनी टैक्स. ये बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट बोल रही है. सो व्हिच इज व्हाई even if he's using in combined form but is using for his residence, then it will be treated as self-occupied, one house self-occupied. ठीक है? So अब हम देखेंगे how is computation of income done for self-occupied property. ठीक है? So just to let you know, tomorrow we will be able to finish up this chapter fully, house property. So next week we'll be starting with salaries. ठीक है? After salaries, we'll do agricultural income. So just before PGBP, I want to just finish off agricultural income, which is a small topic. So before starting PGBP, we'll just push it in. Okay. Right. So computation of taxable income of self-occupied property (NAV) is considered as nil. बस ये याद रखना है आपको. ठीक है. तो और इसमें, so what did I say? NAV is nil, right? So above NAV, you don't have to consider anything. So no municipal taxes. Okay, but below NAV things you will get. But if NAV is nil, what will be standard deduction?
So
zero.
Nil मतलब
nil.
Correct. क्योंकि zero का 30% zero आएगा. करेक्ट. सो एनएवी नील है तो आपका स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन भी जीरो हो गया. तो बेसिकली इसका कंप्यूटेशन कैसे होगा? एनएवी नील है, स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन आपको लिखने की भी जरूरत नहीं, वो जीरो ही होगा सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में. स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन विल ऑलवेज बी जीरो. यू विल गेट इंटरेस्ट ऑन बोरोड कैपिटल. ओके, फॉर इंटरेस्ट ऑन बोरोड कैपिटल यू हैव टू सीलिंग्स, 2 लाख एंड 30,000. ओके, वी विल कम टू दैट. अभी कितना इंटरेस्ट अलाउड है, लेट्स पार्क इट एट दिस पॉइंट. ठीक है, इस तरह से आपका ये आएगा. तो आपका नेगेटिव इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी आने के बहुत चांसेस है. अगर आपने लोन लिए हैं तो आपका नेगेटिव आ जाएगा सीधा. ओके, तो पीपल हु आर वर्किंग, उन लोग को ये थोड़ा मालूम होगा, ये काफी बेनिफिशियल रहता है. इससे क्या होता है कि जैसे इसमें मैक्सिमम 2 लाख अलाउ करते हैं वो लोग. ठीक है, पर पर्सन. आपके भले ही 2 भी घर होंगे तो 2 लाख टोटल पर्सन बेस्ड है, यानी नंबर ऑफ हाउसेस बेस्ड नहीं. ठीक है, तो आपको 2 लाख अगर आपका इंटरेस्ट रहा, इफ योर इंटरेस्ट इज 2 लाख, योर इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी विल बी -2 लाख, considering you have paid interest of 2 lakh. Now if your salary is, say you are also working somewhere, ठीक है, say you are getting 10 lakhs, तो क्या हो जाता है ना, इसमें फायदा ये हो जाता है कि ये 2 lakhs माइनस होके your net salary then becomes 8 lakhs. इस तरह से बेनिफिट मिलता है इसका. This is how this benefits. ठीक है, तो चलिए तो आगे चलें. तो कंप्यूटेशन क्या रहेगा? व्हाट विल बी द कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ योर सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टी? दिस विल बी द एनएवी. जीरो से स्टार्ट कर देंगे, जस्ट गिव इंटरेस्ट ऑन बोरोड कैपिटल और आपका इनकम फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी आएगा. ठीक है, रिमेंबर दैट मोस्ट केसेस में इट विल बी नेगेटिव. इंटरेस्ट है अगर तो देन इट विल बी नेगेटिव. बी वेरी केयरफुल, वेरी वेरी केयरफुल. हो जाता है कभी, यानी क्योंकि हमारे पास कोर्स बहुत होता है. अभी तो आप चलिए सेकंड चैप्टर में ही, ठीक है, थर्ड चैप्टर में है हाउस प्रॉपर्टी. तो व्हेन टू मच डेटा इज पुश्ड इनटू योर ब्रेन, हो जाता है दिस कंफ्यूजन हैपेंस. कि मुझे भी हुआ था, तो मैं इसलिए मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि जो अपना म्युनिसिपल टैक्स है ना, ये म्युनिसिपल टैक्स, ठीक है, बी वेरी केयरफुल कि सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में म्युनिसिपल टैक्स का रोल नहीं है इधर. ये इसका डाउट होता है आगे, जैसे once you go into bigger chapters, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी को हम छोटा चैप्टर मानते हैं, अच्छा इतने इतनी चीजें, और ये भी लगता है हाउस प्रॉपर्टी में हमको आता है, ऐसा लगता है कि हाउस प्रॉपर्टी पहले स्टार्ट होता है, so you give more to it, so आप कंफर्ट जोन ज्यादा रहता है. So later on what happens is you concentrate on other bigger chapters, you have other subjects also, ये थोड़ा नेग्लेक्ट हो जाता है, फिर ये छोटे मोटे चीजों में डाउट आता है. So सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में याद रखिए म्युनिसिपल टैक्सेस कभी भी नहीं लिया जाता है, ठीक है, एनएवी से स्टार्ट होता है, याद रखना है. ये सब चीजों में कंफ्यूजन आती है. ओके, यू विल गेट कंफ्यूज्ड इन दीस थिंग्स. नाउ थोड़ा एनएवी के बारे में. एनएवी ऑफ टू सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड हाउस प्रॉपर्टीज इज निल. तो दो का ऑप्शन मिल रहा है ना आपको, दो का दे रही है गवर्नमेंट, सो दोनों का एनएवी जॉइंटली विल बी निल. और ठीक है, तो अब आपको से यहाँ पे एक चीज होता है, विल डू अ प्रॉब्लम आल्सो, कि से यू हैव 5 हाउसेस, ठीक है. नाउ यू कैन चूज एनी 2 as self occupied. Okay, so other 3 will be deemed to be let out. You are a big man, you have 5 houses, you're using all for your residence. Okay, if you give it for rent, it will be let out. Okay, then that it will not be considered. But if you are using all 5 for your residence, okay, so in that case क्या होगा, any 2 you can consider and get deduction as nil NAV. So when you have got 5 houses, then you have to compute and see which 2 will be the most beneficial. You're getting my point? So those type of problems will have. So normally higher GAV, because higher the GAV, more will be the tax in general, right? GAV is the topmost figure, correct? Gross annual value. बाकी तो म्युनिसिपल टैक्स ये सब छोटे फिगर से फिर भी. So normally like higher GAV को we go for it, but always compute and see. ठीक है, क्यों मैं I will talk about this, हम कुछ problems में आएंगे, then I can show you figures, so it will make more sense. ठीक है, but it's advised to calculate total income of all the houses. ठीक है, क्यों मैं आपको बताऊंगा. There can be some other cases also which will cause variations. इसलिए सीधा GAV को देख के हम नहीं लेंगे, we'll compute income from house property for all 5. ठीक है, ठीक है. And interest on loan taken for construction, acquisition, repair, renovation, extension is allowed according to below table. Okay, yeah, यहाँ पे याद रखना है आपको, construction और acquisition. Okay, these 2 are always considered as primary. ठीक है, ये तो प्राइमरी है. रिपेयर, रिनोवेशन, इवन रिनोवेशन भी है फॉर दैट मैटर, ये सब सेकेंडरी में. रिपेयर तो है ही है सेकेंडरी, यू नो दैट, राइट? रिपेयर इज सेकेंडरी एनीवे. Renovation is also secondary. Extension is also considered secondary. But just a general, you should remember this. So now we will talk about कितना interest का deduction मिलेगा. ठीक है, so there are some conditions in house property. So some dates are important, because this topic has developed over a period of time. Some 6-7 years back, the 2 lakh limit was 1,50,000. Much before that, there was no limit. You could take whatever deduction you want. Say if your interest for loan is 8 lakhs, you could take 8 lakhs. Okay? There are these dates and all. This is only for self-occupied property. Okay. So for let out and deemed to be let out, there is no limit of interest deduction. Okay. You can. Reason being that see, if government is earning revenue from you, then it is allowing your expense. It is earning revenue from you. Any real expense you are making, the government will allow you, because it is now charging tax from you, right? And self-occupied, the government has no benefit. Ulta, like your 2 lakhs will become minus 2 lakhs and it will hit their revenue. Okay, so which is why for self-occupied you have these limits. For other properties, wherever the government is getting some revenue, it will allow your interest. Whatever interest you are actually paying, it will allow it. ठीक है, ये याद रखना है. People who are working would be knowing little bit. जब आप लोग भरते हो ये सब Form 16 वगैरह आखिरी में we have to submit, right? उसमें then you have all these things, returns and all जब हम भरते हैं, तो आप लोगों ने ये सब देखा होगा, 2 lakhs वगैरह, right? इसमें रहता है आपके. tax computation. Okay, so where first thing here is where the loan is taken on or after 1/4/1999. Okay, remember this date, it is important. Okay, with all these conditions now, it all started from 1/4/1999. As I said, these have been changing. First, there was earlier there was no limit. Okay, then no, just 6-7 years back, it was 1,50,000. Then government now increased to after that government increased to 2 lakhs. So this has been like, it has been an evolving subject. Okay, so when loan is taken on or after 1/4/1999, okay, and following conditions are satisfied, kya loan is utilized for construction or acquisition of house property. Construction or acquisition, the primary ones only. Okay, construction or acquisition of house property on or after 1/4/1999, and it is completed within 5 years from the end of the financial year in which capital was borrowed. So this sentence I had shown you earlier before, if you remember. It was one block I told you, though it is not needed now, but I'm just telling you, and I showed you that block. So this was what it was saying. Okay, so if it is if we take more than 5 years for construction from the end of the previous year when loan was taken, okay, then government doesn't give us this 2 lakh benefit, it becomes 30,000. So what government says is like 5 years is more than enough to complete your house. If you're doing a shoddy job, then it's not our problem. We'll give it only for 5 years. Okay. And this third point, many people are working, they will know it. Okay. I don't know how many of you have gone for home loan, but if you do, then you need a certificate of interest from the bank from which you have taken loan. Okay, that certificate has to be attached along with your return of income. Okay, with the documents when they are submitted to your employer, that time you have to submit that. So lender should certify that the interest payable is for acquisition, construction, okay, or a refinance of an earlier loan. As I said, you have taken an earlier loan for acquisition, construction, then you got a better deal and you are just replacing that loan by another loan. So then that is not an issue, right? That should not be an issue. So same thing they're talking about, refinance of earlier loan. Okay. So all these, we are talking about principal only, all this, okay? Refinance part, because loan taken for interest, that is not deductible in any way. Okay. So if all these conditions are satisfied, then you get an interest of 2 lakhs. If any of this condition is not satisfied, this 2 lakh will get reduced to 30,000. That's all. 30,000 you will get, but if not satisfied, then this will get reduced to 30,000. Okay. Any of these three is not satisfied, then this will get reduced to 30,000. So these are your conditions. See, just remember in short, I'll tell you. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा दिमाग लगाने की जरूरत नहीं. This date, once you see this date 4-5 times ना वो stick हो जाएगा आप यहाँ पे 1/4/1999. That's your base date. ठीक है? Just remember to be used for main purpose. Okay, and 5 years. Whenever you take the loan from the end of that previous year for 5 years, you have to complete construction or acquisition. Okay, second is done. Third is you get a certificate from the person who has given you loan. That's all. Okay, that's it. समझ गए ना? ये पहला पॉइंट क्या है? कंस्ट्रक्शन और एक्विजिशन के लिए है ऑन और आफ्टर 1/4/1999. ये डेट याद रखना है बस. 3 पॉइंट्स बहुत सिंपल है. कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्विजिशन जो हमारा मेन पर्पस है उसके लिए है, ठीक है, ये जो हमारा ये मेन पर्पस है ना, ये इसके लिए होना चाहिए. और लोन जब लिए वो ईयर के एंड से 5 साल के अंदर आपका खत्म हो जाना चाहिए कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्विजिशन. और जिससे लोन लिए उससे आप सर्टिफिकेट ले लो, खत्म. दैट्स ऑल, राइट. ये आपका सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड का इंटरेस्ट डिडक्शन की हम बात कर रहे हैं. ये सब, ये प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में बहुत यूजफुल होता है सब. ठीक है, नॉर्मल लोगों को भी सब, लोन तो बहुत लोग लेते हैं ना, हाउसिंग लोन कभी ना कभी मैक्सिमम वर्किंग लोग लेते ही हैं. एक नए घर का जो है एटलीस्ट.
Sir, I have one query.
Yes, Himanshu.
Sir, there is the means as of now there is no limit of interest deduction on let out property.
No, no limit.
No limits.
No limit.
And suppose someone is having two houses.
Yeah.
So by default, those will be considered as self-occupied, or I can show one of them as let out. If I feel that interest deduction is high and there is no limit of interest deduction, so can I show one of them as let out, benefiting
No,
interest
see,
deduction?
what will happen is if you have got two houses, okay? Yeah. So one house you are living in, and second house is not, you are not using for any purpose, correct? You're not using for any purpose, not let out or anything, correct?
Okay.
For any purpose. So then, yeah, then this will automatically become your second residential house. No? So you can, you are going to get benefit of your interest on loan. So why, if you make it deemed to be let out, then the problem will be your computation will start from your GAV. Okay, GAV less municipal taxes, whatever it is, will be less only, correct? Then your NAV will be a huge value. Whereas here, you're just taking your option of two residential values, your NAV will start with 0, right?
Right.
And then anyway, below this line, you are getting in both cases. है ना? तो इसीलिए if you have a second house, ये है कि both will be for residential option. Okay.
So residential option के लिए रहेंगे तो automatically NAV nil हो जाएगी. But what I was thinking कि अगर one of
आप
them
ले सकते हैं क्या? देखिए, डीमिंग प्रोविजन जब भी होता है, कोई भी डीमिंग प्रोविजन, ठीक है, वो होता है बाय ऑपरेशन ऑफ लॉ, वो चॉइस नहीं होता आपका. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए जब आपके दो रेजिडेंशियल हाउस प्रॉपर्टीज हो गए हैं, उसके बाद ही आपका चॉइस आएगा 3, 4, 5 में.
हाँ, वही मैं कह रहा था, दो में से एक को नहीं दिखा सकते लेट आउट.
आप नहीं दिखा सकते,
मतलब
और आप नहीं दिखा सकते, आप दिखाओगे भी तो आपका नुकसान है ना. टीम टू बी लेट आउट पे
नहीं,
आप
उसमें सर मैं सोच रहा था ऐसे इंटरेस्ट का अनलिमिटेड बेनिफिट है ना लेट आउट वाली प्रॉपर्टी पे, तो
नहीं, तो वही
वो
आप,
माइनस में चला जाएगा एनएवी.
हाँ, वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ. जैसे आपका ये जो आप डीम टू बी लेट आउट भी अगर उसको दिखाओगे तो क्या होगा, जीएवी लेस म्युनिसिपल टैक्स होगा, ये आपका एनएवी आएगा ना. अगर मैं इसको डीम टू बी लेट आउट में दिखाना चाहता हूँ, डीएलओ, ठीक है, जो कि आप नहीं दिखा सकते, लेकिन बता रहा हूँ जस्ट ये, डीएलओ भी आप दिखाएंगे डीम टू बी लेट आउट, तो आपका एनएवी का कुछ वैल्यू आ जाएगा. सपोज दिस इज 2 लाख, ठीक है, म्युनिसिपल टैक्स आपने 10,000 दिया, तो 1,90,000 आ गया ना आपका यहाँ. ठीक है, तो यही आपका, अगर आप सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड दिखा रहे हो तो यहीं से तो आप 0 से चालू कर रहे हो ना. यहाँ आपका इंटरेस्ट दोनों केसेस में सेम ही रहेगा आपका, है ना. इंटरेस्ट आपका है सपोज माइनस 1,50,000 भी बोलता हूँ अगर, तो आपको सेकेंड केस में ज्यादा बेनिफिट मिल रहा है ना. एनी केस, ये सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड का केस है, ये डीएलओ का केस है. आपको कहाँ डीएलओ में आपको कहाँ बेनिफिट ज्यादा मिल रहा है? ये एनएवी के साथ ये आपको ऑफसेट होगा, ये 40,000 आएगा इसका वैल्यू.
राइट, राइट.
Okay, so I will not explain that in English because that was just a different question, particular question. Okay, so yeah, okay. Then next what we have done is, in any other case it will be 30,000. ठीक है. ओके, तो इसमें से एनी वन कंडीशन आपका नहीं फुलफिल हुआ, या केस ही कुछ और, यानी लोन इज टेकन ऑन 1/4, इसके पहले का लोन है अगर, ओके, या ये तीनों में से कंडीशन फुलफिल नहीं हुए. सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज, इफ द लोन इज बिफोर दिस डेट और these conditions are not satisfied, then it will become 30,000. okay, and total this 2 lakh is per person. Okay, the person will not get over 2 lakh. So you can have two properties, your total interest for two properties will be 4 lakh something, you will get only 2 lakhs for combined both properties. Okay, so limit is per individual, per person who's taking that loan. Okay, not house based. This 2 lakhs is not house based. At house 1 you will get 2 lakhs, house 2 it's not like that. Okay, next is calculations. Same as in case of letters. There is no difference at all. Okay. See, basically what is happening here, just understand here, you're starting with a 0 NAV, that's all. Other than that, there is no change in rule. Follow the same rules. Okay. And here SSC shall always have nil or loss up to 2 lakh from self-occupied properties. Okay. Right. So Abhi, here no, you have got only these cases. Okay, we're just summarizing this. Only these cases. Okay. So first 4 are self-occupied. Let's talk about that self-occupied. It can be on or after 1/4/1999. Okay, for main purpose. Then it is 2 lakhs. Even if it is on or after 1/4/99, but for secondary purposes, then it is 30,000. If it is before 1/4/1999, then don't even worry. It's all 30,000. ठीक है, समझ गया आपको? ऑन और आफ्टर 1/4/1999 हो गया तो कंस्ट्रक्शन और परचेस के लिए है, तभी आपको 2 लाख है, रिपेयर्स के लिए आपको 30,000, और बिफोर आ गया अगर तो फिर तो आप सोचो ही मत किस पर्पस के लिए, 30,000 ही। ठीक है, लेट आउट के लिए कभी भी लोन लिया गया, किसी भी पर्पस के लिए लिया गया, ठीक है, याद रखना है आपको, रिपेयर कोई भी पर्पस के लिए आप ले सकते हो, आपको नो मैक्सिमम लिमिट है। इसका रीजन ये है कि लेट आउट या डीम टू बी लेट आउट में गवर्नमेंट आपसे रेवेन्यू ले रहा है, ठीक है, आपसे टैक्स ले रहा है, टैक्स ले रहा है तो आपका जो खर्चा है उसको डिडक्शन भी देना पड़ेगा। ये आपके सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में इसलिए वो है कि गवर्नमेंट ने आपको छूट दे के रखी है, छूट दे रही है तो गवर्नमेंट उसको लिमिट कर सकता है। Government can always limit the benefit it has given, but in business computation what happens, all your income is seen, or in salaries wherever all your income is seen, your expenses are matched, and then profit is calculated, right? So which is why in let out property it will be unfair if they do not, if you have actually spent in that property and you are paying interest on loan, then it has to be allowed. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए everything is allowed. तो ये हो गए हैं हमारे यहाँ तक, और ये इलस्ट्रेशन हम आने के बाद करेंगे, ठीक है, क्योंकि टाइम नहीं है। इसमें क्या क्या है, if any condition is not fulfilled, 30,000 which I have already told you includes, अच्छा, and this 2 lakh is including interest of pre-construction, right? हमने देखा था पिछले बार pre-construction interest and the current year interest, ठीक है, वो दोनों आप मिला के आपका interest liability, so both together will give you that 2 lakhs or 30,000. Okay, right? It's not that pre-construction is separate, no. Okay, and it's aggregate limit for all self-occupied house properties. That is, as I said, just remember, it is that person centric, individual centric. Okay, not house centric. So this is all it is. So we'll close it here. If any question, I'll take it, because then better to go for this problem in next session. So which is why we'll not start it now. Any questions you can ask me, and then we can join back at 9:15.
Sir,
Yes, Shivam.
sir, for the deduction amount of 2 lakh, there is a condition that we need to get a certificate from the lender.
Yes.
And sir, for example, if I take a loan from outside source and I'm unable to, unable to get a certificate,
Then you will not get it.
what is to?
You will not get.
Will not
If
get.
you are unable to get a certificate, it will be treated as you don't have a certificate.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. That's how it works practically also. There are people like who take loan from there, but they have taken loan from such resources that they who do not give certificate. But those people have to go with smaller limits. Like, practically, I'm saying there are people.
Yeah, sir, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I know also.
I saw
such people, yeah. If they do not have a certificate, then the limit doesn't apply. Okay, so that's it. Now we'll come back and do the problem. Okay. Thank you. So please join back at 9:15.